Mutlatsi Sibego. We meet again. Today, I don't want to give you a speech. I just want to speak from the bottom of my heart. I am very much concerned about Africa and the future, the same way that our parents were concerned for our generation. I'm concerned for the generation of our children and our grandchildren and the posterity that follows. You look at the way Africa is split into pieces. This is a result of the Berlin Conference, where the partition of Africa was decided and done, and so that the European countries would continue to milk Africa of its resources, its income, its labor, and everything African. In fact, they went as far as to destroy even our education system, even our spiritual system, our identity, to a point that you do not know who you are. You do not know as an African who God is. You do not know as an African how you're related with the cosmos, how one you are with the entire universe, your space in the Milky Way galaxy, for instance. You don't know all of that. You don't know your relationship with water and how you can communicate with a river and the river can respond back to you. You don't know all of that anymore. This is because when the enemy came and found how wonderful and powerful and dynamic you were, the enemy decided to slowly destroy you by teaching you what he himself does not believe in, so that he would destroy you. It's time for us Africans to wake up and come back to our senses. Now let's be contextual. We have in our situation right now a concept of trade, where trade is impossible when they're split into small pieces as small countries. That's why we need to come together and trade as a united force. When we come together, the entire continent, and trade as if we are one country, like China, for instance, only then are we in a position to compete with the likes of America, the likes of China, Korea, and so forth. Number two, we also need to understand that the tax system that we have in the continent of Africa, particularly as we borrow and take loans from the Western countries, is killing the continent of Africa. No one is able to pay back the loans that we get from IMF and so forth. We are being set up for failure, so that when we collapse, they come and they pick up the spoils, and then we are at the mercy of those who will have borrowed us. As Africans, we need to develop our own bank. As Africans, we need to develop our own universities that are not influenced by the Western education, or the Jewish education, but we need to have our own universities that will teach about our own indigenous ways of life, the ways of Ubuntu, the ways of agriculture, the ways of livestock farming and so forth, how we can talk about our own technology. The cell phone industry depends on the mines of Congo. We need to find a way to make the mines of Congo work for Congo and not have the mines of Congo work for Motorola or work for Samsung or work for iPhone, work for Huawei, all these companies that are cell phone companies that are depending on the mines here in Africa for them to function. We need to look at all those things. We also need to look at how we as Africans can learn to look at each other as one, not as enemies, not as people to compete with, not as foreigners. There's no foreigner in Africa, but instead we are all the children of the continent. We need to unite in every possible way. We need to find a way to unite. We need to find solutions together. We need to fight the battles together, so that we can win together, conquer together, and grow together as Africans. Because think about it. If you are not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. In fact, if you are not part of the solution, hell, you are the problem. Because we will speak and say this, and then we'll turn around and go tell the enemy. what we are planning and plotting. There are those who are like that here in Africa. And we need to deal with them, find a way to confront them. There are also some who see an opportunity whenever there's a crisis. Right now, there's COVID-19 situation, and we have leaders here who are willing to take the parastatals that are struggling and sell them to the likes of Richard Branson, to the likes of Oppenheimers and the Ruperts, and so forth, and pocket $1 billion for themselves. That's what's very sick. That's wrong. That's disgusting. That a leader of a country would do such a thing at a time such as this, when the future is still coming. It is not saying it's no longer coming. There's children, there's grandchildren to follow, there's great-grandchildren to follow, and life is still going forward. The question is, how are you going to sustain the future of Africa if you're stealing from Africa? We need to deal with all those issues as Africans and talk about them. We also need to look at the issues of religion. How is religion working for Africa? Is it working for us? Is it working against us? What is it about religion that is beneficial to Africa? So we need to look at those things that we benefit from, and then enhance those things, and the things that do not benefit us, we throw them away, we just discard them. We need to look at the things that work for us, and then we need to look at the family structure of an African, and look at the systems of Africa, and look at the traditions and cultures. What did our forefathers do in order to keep the family unit intact? We need to look at that. We need to look at the role of the elders, because the elders' role really has always been to lead and advise and teach. And the role of the youngsters has always been to fight. In other words, to fight, to learn, to fend for themselves and for the family, and to feed the members of the family. We need to look at all those things as Africans, if we are indeed to be a resurrected people, people who are awakened, people who are experiencing the renaissance of an African. We need to wake up, my fellow Africans. Let's talk again some other time. Take care. Bye-bye.